Let's talk about Crybaby Antifa.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, you have been on the ground covering stuff. I can imagine you've been threatened by Antifa.
Yep.
They talk big game, right?
Physically assaulted, threatened, called all kinds of stuff, a white supremacist, the list goes on.
You're
Even though
a
I'm
white-
Hispanic, last name
Yeah,
ends
what?
Hernandez.
last name ends with a Z. Just try and wrap your mind around that one, guys.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
So they talk big game.
They talk
But
big.
you were saying earlier that when they get arrested, all of a sudden,
That's what police have told me.
is it? But are they saying they just clam up and like quiet up because they know they need lawyers?
They're just. This is how it was described to me. They're just nice little kids, very polite, not chanting the vile chants anymore. Just very nice, very polite.
That's so weird,
and they
man.
just walk right out when they're let out.
That's so weird.
That's how it was.
No,
described to me.
because I like this story better. Check this out. This is from the New York Post. Antifa
Yes.
commander with flamethrower
Whoa.
burst into tears during arrest. Cops say.
I love everything about this.
This is so
The
insane.
flamethrower, the tears,
Why
the
does
commander.
he's got a flamethrower. He's called Commander Red. Dude, this is
man.
how old is this guy? He's 23.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was like, how old? I think I was like 7 years old, and there was a Nintendo game called Mighty Bomb Jack.
Yeah.
And I took a garbage bag. I was a little kid, and I was jumping up and down, and I jumped off my bed, and I slammed my leg on the bedpost, and I started screaming and crying. That's exactly what this is. But I was like 7 when that happened. It's a true story, mind you. My mom will attest to this.
They do this. I have so many clips, and I do this a lot, and this is probably why they want to kill me. But
You're laughing about it.
I put little I compile clips back to back of just Antifa
Supercut.
just getting pwned
Yes.
by police, dude. You know, and it just totally screaming,
Dude.
squealing, crying, and it's just. But a lot of people don't understand. Like when you see the footage of police tear gassing or using, non-lethal munitions, they always post that, but they never post the beginning.
Exactly.
Where they're antagonizing police, sometimes for hours. And you know this. I'm not.
Of
You already
course.
know this, but
No, no,
for
but
people, people that are listening, they will antagonize for hours, just all kinds of vile obscenities. They'll start
Racist
throwing
stuff. Yeah,
racist,
dude.
throwing Molotov
Awful.
cocktails.
Yeah.
They bait them, and then the police come out and respond, and that's what Antifa will
I've
post.
I've seen some stuff from cops that is absolutely objectionable.
Yeah.
I have seen instances where in Ferguson a cop walked right up and there was no conflict, there was no fighting, and just one cop just threw a flashbang at a bunch of random people, and that sparked chaos.
Yeah.
There's that incident in Oakland back during the Occupy era where this dude got shot in the head with, I think it was a beanbag or a tear gas canister, and it gave him brain damage, and he fell down. And when people ran in to try and help him, a cop chucked a flashbang into the crowd of people.
Oh, snap.
Cops aren't perfect.
No, they're not. They're
However,
human beings.
what people need to understand about a lot of these clips is that, yes, I think reform is a good thing. I think those cops should be held accountable, and we need to absolutely have a review of the use of force because we're entrusting these people who go out there to do the right thing and to try and keep us safe. But what they don't tell you is that oftentimes these people go out with great intentions, the cops, and then some Antifa will walk up to a black cop and start screaming every possible racial slur they can think of. Dude, I don't know if you saw the video from the Portland ICE where a bunch of white dudes were screaming just, man, some of these racial slurs that they were screaming at these guys. And bravo to these cops who kept their cool, did their job, and did the right thing.
See, but this is why, like you said earlier, just so people can connect the dots, this is why they'll come out and say, you don't film us, only cops.
Exactly.
That's exactly why.
Yep. Yeah, dude. There was a recent viral video of this Antifa woman screaming at a black woman of like racist stuff about white supremacy. And then some guy very calmly says to this screeching white woman, "You're screaming at a black woman. Don't you think there's something wrong with that?" And her eyes are like bugged out. And she's like, "No, I'm the only one who can speak because I'm white."
Demoralized.
This is crazy.
Right.
We definitely got to talk about Commander Red. I'm not forgetting Commander Red. Okay. We're going to talk
Mr.
about
Flamethrower
Commander
there.
Red.
Yeah, he gave
So
himself
cool.
a code name and all that stuff.
Oh, man.
Red
But-
Wing leader.
Think about what it means when you have a white woman screaming, "I'm the only one," or things to that effect. These are white progressives who are being told by avowed racists like the Robin DiAngelo and White Fragility that here's what you need to do: have a white racial awakening and form a white collective to improve the betterment of the poor minorities.
Wow.
That's their message, dude.
Yeah.
That I'm like, what's the difference between that and like, I don't know, like white supremacists? You're gonna go out and claim that you are the one who has to do everything because you're the white person with privilege. Yeah, it just sounds like good old white supremacy to me.
Extra steps.
I mean,
Yeah, with extra steps.
You guys have seen the ex-KJB, right? Yuri
Yeah,
Bezmenov,
yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. We get everybody.
Everyone tells
Dude,
us,
like that.
yeah.
We're living that right now.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
the first step of subversion, right? Demoralization, that's already completed.
Yeah.
We're in the process right now of destabilization. And I think panic right now and crisis.
Yeah.
That's what he taught. And right now, I mean, that was decades ago. But the first two things to go during subversion was religion and education. Those are the two things that get
Education's
attacked.
gone.
That's
Oh,
where
yeah.
we are. And there's multiple media, all that stuff. But right now, I think we are definitely living through that.
I just had-
100%.
I just had a really horrifying thought.
Oh no.
Let's hear it.
You see this guy right here? Look at those eyes. This is Commander Red. Okay, there he is.
Oh my sweet summer
The
child.
horrifying thought was like we're sitting here laughing and we're like, look at this moron.
Yeah.
And then in 20 years, he's pulling the cord on the guillotine
Oh,
with us in
gosh.
it.
Yep.
And he's got like a rugged beard and he's all ripped and he's
man.
like, remember that episode?
Oh, no. That's what
126
did it.
Timcast IRL, September 2nd, 2020. And I'm like, no.
That's it.
No, I wouldn't be crying. I'd be like, bring it, commie.
Spit in his
And I'd
face.
spit
Yeah.
on him. Get my head chopped off.
Yeah.
Send me to heaven. I'm ready.
Right. Yeah.
He like looks in the basket in the last split second of life. I go, yeah, and I spit blood on him. Okay, that was a little gruesome, but let's read it.
Commander Red.
Yes.
An Antifa leader known as Commander Red was busted carrying a flamethrower to a Wisconsin Black Lives Matter rally and dropped into the fetal position and began crying.
Aw.
Yep. Yep.
Sounds about right.
Dude,
I have seen
man.
that countless times.
Yeah, man.
Matthew
Every single
Banta,
time.
23, is known to be a violent Antifa member who incites violence in otherwise relatively peaceful protests, a criminal complaint in his Green Bay arrest record insisted, according to WBAY. He was carrying stickers and a flag for the controversial group, the name of which is short for anti-fascist, along with military-grade 5-minute smoke grenades, fireworks rockets, and a flamethrower. How did he get a flame? Was he? Are we talking like one of those boring company Elon Musk
No.
flamethrowers?
Now I really want to know.
Because those ones aren't that strong.
Yeah.
But like, did he have a real? They say Banta was stopped at being spotted with a whole bunch of white people with sticks, baseball bats, and helmets heading
like
toward a
Antifa.
BLM event in Green Bay. Police said in the criminal complaint. The others fled when a cop blocked them with his squad car, but Banta was stopped and dropped into the fetal position and began crying. The police report said he complained that the officer got on top of him, which police denied. It's worrisome when people associated with Antifa come here to Green Bay from out of town for the purposes of committing violent acts, Green Bay Police Chief Andrew Smith told the station. At the time of Saturday's arrest, Banta was out on $10,000 cash bond after being accused of pointing a loaded gun. Wait, what? Pointing a loaded gun at a police officer.
Whoa.
As well as biting and kicking a cop at a protest earlier this month, the report said. A condition of his bond was that he can't have a dangerous weapon, according to the Brown County District Attorney's Office.
Oh, wow. I wonder
All he
why.
saw was dangerous weapons.
Jeez. The 23-year-old from Neenah, about 40 miles south of Green Bay, was charged with obstructing an officer and 2 counts of felony bail jumping after Saturday's arrest, the report said. He was released late Monday on $2,500 bond. Court records show. How did this guy get released? They literally
$2,500.
They literally arrested him for jumping bail.
Oh my
And they're
gosh.
like, let's let him go.
We'll just
Heck,
let him
have
out.
at it, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Investigations.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
As he's walking out of the police station, sir, your flamethrower. You almost left it behind.
Oh man.
And he's
Sir,
like, oh,
we
thanks, just
apologize.
putting it on.
We apologize for using force, but you're free to go. Here's your flamethrower.
Yeah. Here's all your weapons back.
flamethrower.
Here's your flamethrower to use on us in the next 8 hours.
and
We'll
your
see you
gun,
outside,
yeah.
brother.
Like the guy at the desk at the
Next
department
time.
pulls up a big box and he goes, let's see, we've got one loaded Glock 9mm. What's this? Oh, we got a flamethrower. Boom. That's your flamethrower. And a couple cans of kerosene. I don't know if they use in
Grenades,
flamethrowers.
yeah.
A couple smoke bombs. And there you go, sir. Have a nice day.
We'll see you
Here's
soon.
your receipt for the bail.
Yep.
Here's what they say. Here's how it ends. They say he was one of 15 arrested at Saturday's Black Lives Matter protest that turned violent in the city and was deemed an unlawful assembly. Burning buildings, hurting people, shooting, looting, vandalizing. There's absolutely no way that is a form of protest. That's criminal behavior. You know what this article proves? It proves a couple things. Look at this guy. This
No.
dude, he doesn't. I'm sorry, man. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like he's lifted a heavy object in his life, save the flamethrower.
That is not an alpha.
I don't know. Sure.
No, it's
but
not.
listen, he gave himself a code name, right? He's LARPing.
Yeah.
But they don't realize they're actually hurting people.
Yeah.
Or like, it's crazy. You know, if you want to LARP, You get one of those pool noodles from like the pool shop, and you put a stick in it. Congratulations, you got a staff. You can hit your friends. It doesn't hurt.
Yep.
It's very difficult to actually seriously hurt somebody with that. I guess you could fall on it or something. But this guy somehow got a flamethrower. Like how did he get a flamethrower?
These guys, man, they are funded. It's like you said, it's really easy for them to crowdsource.
Exactly.
And even in Portland, and I was saying this earlier before we started the podcast, is a lot of the locals support these guys.
That was interesting.
Oh,
to
definitely.
Me.
They really like when I was on the ground when they kicked that dude in the head that night. When I was reporting that entire night before they kicked him in the head, this elderly couple, and you see it in the video, they show up. And I look to the side and I'm like, hey, you guys need to get out of here. They're like, no, we're going to box him in. We're going to box him in. They get out of the car and they're like ready to beat him up.
People are nuts, dude.
Psychos.
These elderly Portland residents, they have no idea what's going on. That's why it's like some of the locals have bought in to the lie and they support them. That's true.
Yeah.
Some journalists have actually been documenting that, and I think I need to do a better job of documenting that too, because it's part of the story.
I think, I was reading about Civil War because there have been an endless stream of these articles popping up over the past several years, just escalating as things get crazier and crazier. There's an article from Vox saying something like, what would it take to convince you to change your mind on Donald Trump? Mm-hmm. And they basically concluded that nobody will, because the tribal lines are so distinct and so far apart. There's no way to convince someone otherwise. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, I know for a fact that these leftists are lying and are wrong. And I think many people do, but there are people who don't care. It's like, it almost feels like a bit of a cliche to say this, but a split between two tribes of logic versus emotion. Mm-hmm. You've got one side that includes liberals, conservatives, moderates. All of a sudden now you've got liberals wanting to vote for Trump. And on the left, you have people who you can't reason with. Yeah. I mean, for sure, there are Trump supporters that you can't reason with. Mm-hmm. But I can sit down and have a conversation with 99.9% of Trump supporters and argue for like left-wing policy positions. And the example I often use is like when I was talking to Glenn Beck about pro-life versus pro-choice, mm-hmm. we ended with a smile and a handshake and said, that was a great conversation. Yep. And come on by anytime. You too, man. I appreciate it. It was good fun. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. Yep. On the left, you don't get that. You get elderly couples pulling up in cars yelling, get him, box him in. And there's like some dude they're trying to kill for no reason. Yep. He was trying to save somebody. Yeah. That's the level of insane zealotry.
Well, we've been subverted. We've been successfully demoralized as a culture, especially millennials. And I think alongside of that, it makes sense because that dude, that ex-KGB dude said, once that happens, it's impossible to change their mind. You can show them the truth. Yeah. You could take them to a gulag in the Soviet Union. You could take them to North Korea and show them what their ideas look like. Nationwide, and they still won't change their mind. And that's a dangerous place to be because it's a matter of ideology. All these ideologies, all these anti-fascist ideologies that have subverted so many people, they've poisoned so many people. And the propaganda is powerful. I think the turning point was Charlottesville. And this is why. Because the way propaganda works is the media, whoever it is, they'll put out a lie of what they want people to believe years in advance. We saw that with CNN. Trump is a racist. Trump is a white supremacist. Trump sides with Nazis. Trump this, Trump that. There was no evidence.
Right.
They'll put out the narrative with no evidence. And then when some time goes on and the slightest thing happens, like Charlottesville, even though it's a lie, the slightest thing happens, we told you so.
Right.
We told you so, and the nation is in an uproar. The lie was already set up. The slightest little bit of, it's not even evidence, but the slightest thing, they capitalize on it.
It's
subversion.
It's happening again.
Subversion.
Joe Biden came out and said Trump's, violent militia invading these cities. Yep. And the Proud Boys announced they're going to Portland.
Yep. Just like, what's that group? Refuse Fascism, right?
Who's behind them, right?
Who exactly?
Revcom,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. Revcom. Their message has always been Trump is a fascist, Mike Pence is a fascist, with zero evidence for years. And now all of a sudden, Trump calls DHS into Portland. What's Nancy Pelosi saying? Secret police. Stormtroopers. Yeah. Boom.
Well, that all backfired on them.
Yeah.
And now they're in panic. Like Joe Biden rushing out of his basement to go to Kenosha after he said he wouldn't do it. They're hurting, and they know it. They know regular people have been like, you can't keep telling us these are peaceful protests when someone smashed out the window of my local barber shop.
Yep.
It's not peaceful.
Yeah, and burned down our car dealership.
Right. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think if there's one thing that could make Trump lose his election, it's the Proud Boys going to Portland.
It could be a possibility.
And I'll say it again.
The election fraud is deep.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I always want to make sure I preface this because there's a lot of people who might not have heard the other segments I've done on it. But Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci have both said we can safely vote in person. Done. Yet for some reason, Democrats are like, no, we're not. We're gonna vote by mail anyway. So there's no reason to change the rules.
Yep.
But what really is worrisome to me is everything you just explained. I see it happening right now.
Yeah.
They are now claiming that Trump's militias are invading towns.
Yep.
The Proud Boys then announced they're going to do their march through Portland. Antifa is going to be lying in wait in the shadows to instigate something, and they're going to have their allied photographers. Antifa is going to throw a water balloon or something, and the Proud Boy is going to swing, and they're going to wait and time it perfectly, and you're going to get dude getting punched by Proud Boy. It's going to be on the front page of every paper. Trump's violent supporters, the rise of the brown shirts. We already saw this one tweet that got 102,000 retweets, probably more by now.
Yeah.
That it was like, it's about time we read the history of the Nazi brown shirts invading left-wing areas and starting violence, then claiming only they could solve the violence. As if that's what's happening. It's not.
No.
But that's why I'm like, look, first and foremost, if you want to peacefully protest, fine, go do it. But I can only assume, like, they have to realize.
And to go to your point, we've talked about this, me and the guys. You know, we when we're reporting, when we go somewhere, we're fully aware that there's propaganda floating around the USA, that some of these things could possibly be staged. Now, I'm not like this crazy conspiracy theorist, but I'm fully aware that something could be taking place and I could be baited just to go in and get footage. And that's kind of where we are in the journalist reporting game right now, is we have to be very careful. Are we being baited into something? Are the Proud Boys being baited into something? Is it going to, like you're saying, and I think I agree with you. I think it could very well be something that could be used as propaganda, continued propaganda, to fuel the left's narrative of Trump being the Fourth Reich commander.
And you know it's too late. Yeah. The moment it was announced they were doing it, even if they try and backpedal now, all it takes is for someone to just find anybody who's like a Trump supporter, because people are going to go. And then they're going to be like, there's, look, we just saw what happened in Portland. And right now, the craziest thing to me is that, first of all, the friend of the victim of the guy who got killed in Portland, the Trump supporter who got executed, has said law enforcement needs to handle this. Donald Trump has said law enforcement needs to handle this.
Yeah.
Trump and his supporters have won the moral high ground for now, saying that we're not, don't go out, don't retaliate. You can't have any of this street level stuff escalating, and the police will take care of it. And now you get this announcement that they're going to go down there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what the left was hoping for. Yeah. They knew that this crazy guy who shot this dude made them look really, really bad. It's just like what happened with Andy Ngo. When they physically, beat up Andy and left him bleeding from the mouth and ears. Yeah. There was no way to ignore that story. Everybody was sharing the video. Everybody was asking about it. And the media went into a panic. Yeah. And I say the media, but many outlets, like local outlets, are fine when they cover this stuff. But a lot of these like lefty, progressive, VC-funded digital outlets were like, actually, Andy Ngo's a fascist, and
they ran with it.
But most people, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And the reason Antifa went into panic mode, and then they published that video accusing Andy Ngo of secretly organizing with white supremacists because he was walking next to them at some point.
Yeah.
The stupidest thing ever, and they weren't white supremacists anyway. They're doing that as damage control.
Yep.
Right now, you've got a video that appears to show a far leftist with a Black Lives Matter tattoo on his neck executing a Trump supporter minding his own business.
Yep.
That if you want Trump to win, you sit back and you say, please, Trump, do something about this. But these rallies, man, I think it'll lead to propagandistic efforts of. It could be theoretically be another Charlottesville, because we had, what was it, like on the 20th or the 22nd or whatever, when right wing groups and left wing groups clashed.
Yeah.
Were you there at all?
No, was not
Where was the last place you went to?
DC was the last place that I've been to. And before that, I was in Kenosha.
Yeah.
I was in Kenosha. Broke that story.
Kenosha's kind of chilled out, though, hasn't it?
It's chilled out now, thank God, because that place was torched.
Yeah.
Literally torched, dude. Like, it's sad. When I interviewed, I was there the first night. I was there the first night. When I showed up, they were already torching everything. And then when I went back to interview some of the locals, they all kept saying the same thing. I never thought that something like this could ever happen in my home like this. And I'm like, dude, no one is safe. Nobody.
Yep.
No, you could put Black Lives Matter on your business, but if they're feeling like it that night, doesn't matter. You can even be a black person like they did in Portland the other night. They started to burn down a black-owned business.
Yep.
And it's on film.
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
And you could be a random person walking down the street, and they could just look at you and yell. So there's a video from Germany. There's a reporter I know. He's just a reporter. And someone pointed at him and yelled, Nazi Schweinhund. I think that's the word. I don't speak German. Nazi pig.
Yeah.
And they just beat him up.
Yep.
And they grabbed his camera from him. And he's like, I have no idea what's happening. And they're screaming, you're a Nazi. And he's like, I'm an American journalist. I have no idea what's happening. And then someone intervened. He eventually, he put his hands up and started saying, no, I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. And then someone convinced the other guy to give his camera back. And then they were like, leave.
Yeah.
All it takes is if you see the mob of Antifa in any location, if someone points at you and says Nazi, they'll start running and screaming towards you, and they will beat the crap out of you. They will burn your car down. They will flip your car over. They don't care.
Yep.
They don't know or care.
Yep. If you're not in a group of people, if they are outnumbering you, that's definitely going to happen to you. I just want to give an example to people of how insane they are. I was in LA. I was documenting a protest, a gathering. It was the Trump supporters and Antifa. I was standing with Antifa, and I was recording them. They were screaming, and they were yelling out, Nazi scum, you're all Nazis, to Trump-supporting Jews with Star of David flags.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that's not a surprise to you.
No, I know.
But people that are listening, it's not that they do believe that, but it's gotten to the point where it's just a smear tactic to have an excuse to go and hurt somebody.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.